Good morning and welcome to day 4 of Tech Week presented by the Greater Cleveland Partnership. The title for this event is Right Steps to an IT Career. And we have a fantastic program for you this morning. Before we get started, I'd like to take a moment to first thank all of our presenters for sharing their expertise with us today. I'd also like to go over a few housekeeping items before we begin. My name is Mike Glavin, and I will be the webinar organizer for today. We want to make sure today's presentation is extremely valuable for you, as well as interactive. So we ask that you submit all questions by clicking on the question button in the control panel and then typing your questions. We'll try to answer as many questions as we can in the time allotted for each presenter, but we'll also plan to make time available at the end of the entire program to answer any additional questions you might have. We also will be recording this morning's program and we'll make it available for attendees next week. Our program this morning will feature presentations from RITE, College Now, Tech Elevator, New Horizons Computer Learning Centers, Google, and Ohio Means Jobs that highlight opportunities for IT training that can lead to a sustainable career. It's my pleasure now to introduce our first speaker, Anu Yadavali, with RITE to kick things off. Take it away, Anu.
Thank you so much, Mike. Next slide. Hello, everyone. My name is Anu Yadavali, and I'm with RITE. The purpose of our presentation today is to share information which we hope will help you take the right step towards finding your path into information technology. Following a general overview, which will help you understand what IT is about, why this could be a career option for you, and what it takes to enter this field, our industry and workforce partners and training providers will guide you through their respective education, training programs, and funding options that can help you decide on next steps. Next slide. To say that technology has changed our lives today seems like a gross understatement. From the time we wake up until the time we go to bed, there's hardly anything we're able to get done without using our smartphones or other handheld devices. Think of all the apps and features on your smartphone and how many gadgets it has already replaced. To have a single gadget do things like provide you with a clock, camera, a flashlight, navigation, mail, provide you the newspaper, radio, television, in fact, your entire wallet with electronic pay options, just to name a few, sounded to many like science fiction just a few decades ago, when a famous IT futurist, George Gilder, predicted that all of this would become reality in a not too distant future. Things have actually gone much further than that. There are roughly 8.93 million apps currently in use worldwide today, according to some statistics. An average smartphone user has 60 to 90 apps installed on the phone and spends about 2 hours and 15 minutes each day on some very popular apps like WhatsApp, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, YouTube, TikTok, and more. So just how much have we come to rely on technology? Imagine losing that internet connection for a few minutes. Next slide. So what is IT or information technology? IT involves the development, maintenance, and use of computer systems, software, and hardware for the processing and distribution of data, according to Merriam-Webster. In other words, IT is anything and everything to do with computing and information using technology. Next slide, please. With the advent of the internet, our world has changed forever. It has enabled innovation at a scale that is unimaginable today. The past few decades have seen rise of companies like Apple, Facebook, Google, Amazon, some of the biggest technology brands that have completely disrupted and forever transformed the way we communicate, share, consume products, information, and services. Next slide. And the disruption continues. This pandemic has unleashed the full power of technology in ways we could not have imagined just a few years ago. Overnight, all of us, everywhere, adapted to remote work and education. With the touch of a button, we're able to access everything from telehealth for our doctor appointments, participate in virtual conferences and meetings like this one, and even have groceries delivered to our doorstep. All of this has been possible because of the skills and efforts of the millions of people who chose IT as a career option. Next slide, please. And it doesn't really stop here. The IT landscape is constantly changing and evolving with newer technologies and use cases. Technologies like artificial intelligence, machine learning, 3D printing, virtual reality, and more are already here. We see them in the form of things like the driverless cars, virtual assistants like Alexa and Google Home, the high-speed internet that enables us to download movies and videos at a fraction of a second, thanks to 5G technology. New ideas and innovations are taking shape at breakneck speeds, from large corporations to technology giants that are global and small individual startups. Everybody's changing the game to make things faster, more efficient, and for the greater good. Next slide, please. So what does the future of IT behold? The future of IT not just looks bright, it is mind-boggling. Think about it. By 2025, 80 billion devices will be connected to the internet. The global data sphere will grow to about 175 zettabytes from 33 zettabytes 2 years ago. And to put that in perspective, 1 zettabyte is equal to 1 trillion gigabytes, or how about 5 billion episodes of your favorite Netflix show? The global cybersecurity market is also projected to reach $152 billion by 2025 because of the growing cyber attacks and data breaches that companies are facing. Truly, if there's anything that's moving the future of this planet forward, it is technology. Next slide, please. So when we talk about information technology, what are some of the career paths and roles that one can consider? Well, there is no singular definition of an IT job. There are many things you can do within this field, from programming applications to working with data and analytics, to inform business strategy and decisions, to working on the infrastructure side, which involves keeping networks and data secure and systems administration, to creating and managing content on the internet and interactive media, and also managing the IT project teams. All these domains fall under the realm of IT. Next slide. To make a better sense of all these various domains and roles, which can be quite overwhelming for somebody that's very new to this field, let's consider an example of Facebook. So what we see as users when we use Facebook is one well-knit and well-designed product that we can use to communicate, share, and consume information. What we're not able to see are behind-the-scenes actions that go into making this product or service available to us as consumers. There are folks who are responsible for writing the code or doing the programming to make all the features and functions come to life that we use. There are people that design the front end to enhance our experience as users. Then there are folks who ensure that there is enough storage space for all that data that we share and consume using cloud computing, because it's impossible nearly to store all of that information on regular servers. That is why we see or hear about these humongous data centers you have everywhere. There are also folks that work to keep the data and privacy secure from cyber attacks, which is a huge concern for every user of any of these social media apps. And then there are finally folks who analyze the data and help the business side of things to help generate revenue through advertising for Facebook. If you look at these columns on this slide with the 5 broad categories and all the different roles, and more importantly, the skills that pertain to them, which is what matters the most, the skills, even more than the job title. These pathways and skills converge to work together like a well-oiled machine and deliver a seamless experience for the end users. This is not just true for Facebook, it's true for any enterprise that uses technology. Speaking of job titles, based on our current regional job market data, there are close to 40 occupations in information technology. These roles fall into 5 broad categories or functions within the IT operation of any company that we talked about. Let's recap these domains once again. So we have data management and business intelligence. We have network security, cybersecurity, and systems administration. We have software or application development, and then internet and interactive media, and finally, project management. What you see here in these columns in bold are some occupations that are in demand. And some of these roles are also called the new collar jobs, which don't really require a bachelor's degree. A job is set to be in demand when it pays above the median wage, which in Ohio is about $14.10. And there is considerable demand by employers for that job within a given industry, reflecting in a certain minimum number of job postings, which is around 584 postings. To make note, software developer role alone in 2019 had well over 3,000 jobs in Northeast Ohio. So that should give us a sense for what makes a job an in-demand job. Next slide, please. And right there is one of the biggest reasons for considering a career in IT, that IT careers are and will be in demand for a long, long time to come, because technology is what is propelling everything we're doing, along with the fact that there is a huge focus on growing the talent pool in this specific sector here in the US. As the world grows more digital, the demand for IT professionals will continue to grow. Information technology is the underlying current that makes digitization possible. Now let's look at each of these top in-demand roles, which are projected to grow anywhere between 13 to 24% by 2024. We start off with the software developer. A software developer is someone who analyzes users' needs and then designs, develops, and tests software programs and applications to meet those needs. They recommend software upgrades for customers' existing programs and systems, design each piece of application or system, and plan how pieces will work together. Again, going back to our example from Facebook. The second title is a computer user support specialist. And these are folks that provide technical assistance to computer users, answer questions to resolve computer problems for internal clients in person or via telephone or electronically. They may provide assistance regarding the use of computer hardware and software, including printing, installation, word processing, electronic mail, and operating systems. The systems analysts are folks who optimize user experience with programs. These professionals advise employers and clients on which software they may need, implement that software, and work with users to make sure that things function properly. They are employed by large corporations, especially the major hospital systems in our region, to small startups. Systems analysts may also be employed by companies or just consult with various clients. Next slide, please. Next slide. IT careers are not just in demand, but they also pay well and offer security. The median hourly wage across all IT occupations is about $35.28 per hour, or $73,382 per year. IT careers provide meaningful work. You can be part of teams working on developing technical solutions to some of the most interesting and challenging needs of our society. IT careers require folks who are creative and can work in teams well. IT jobs are flexible During this pandemic, the one thing we've seen is if there's any job that's gone virtual, the first to go virtual, it's been any job that could be done online, virtually. So IT jobs can be done remotely, they're very flexible, and being in IT, you get to work with some of the brightest minds from any industry and be part of leading edge technology advancements that are the future of things to come. Next slide, please. Now let's look at how IT is being used across industries, and here's a breakdown. IT is considered both a critical business function that supports operations, as well as a strategy that companies can use to grow their competitive advantage. Information technology occupations exist in manufacturing and finance, healthcare, and more. In addition, many IT jobs are available within small to medium-sized firms, like the technology services firms and consulting areas. Next slide. What you see on this slide are some of the employers of information technology talent in our region. A majority of these companies are headquartered in Northeast Ohio. They range from manufacturing, transportation, to consumer products, technology, banking, insurance, healthcare, and more. According to Forbes magazine, every company is a technology company, no matter what product or service it provides. The companies that embrace this fact are the ones that shape our world. Next slide. We see here on the slide something called the RITE skill set, or the power skills. Based on our decade-long engagement and work with employers of IT, what has become very clear is that there are 6 key skills that employers look for in every candidate, and we call them the power skills. Skills like collaboration, communication, critical thinking, creativity, cultural proficiency, and connection are skills that are very, very relevant and highly regarded for any information technology professionals. These are highly valued by employers, and they look for these skills across all levels, from entry level to advanced level. These are critical skills that folks in IT need to have. Next slide. So if you're really serious about considering information technology as a career option and want to see if a career in IT is for you or not, it is important to answer these questions for yourself. Do you love technology? Are you passionate about working with computers? You're looking to change your career into IT, obviously, and if you're here, that's a very good reason why you should be asking this question and follow along in that list. Do you have creating problem-solving skills? Are you a logical thinker, someone that picks up that Rubik's Cube and doesn't sit back till you're done with solving that? Do you love variety and challenge? Are you a lifelong learner? Because that is very critical for any IT professional. The skills and technologies constantly keep changing and evolving, and you have to roll in with that. You have to be able to teach yourself, you have to be able to research. You're always working in a team, so it's super important to have that growth mindset and that attitude of being a lifelong learner. Do you love to help people and have good customer service skills? And are you a team player with gifted communication skills? These are some of the things that you need to ask yourself and consider, as it's very critical before getting into this field. Next slide, please. So how does one enter this field? There is no set pathway to get into IT, and you can gain entry into some of the IT occupations, even with a high school diploma and some combination of coursework, short-term training from a boot camp perhaps, or get some industry recognized certifications. But having said that, if you truly want to position yourself for a lifelong career with advancement potential, security and higher salaries, pursuing a college degree somewhere along the way is something you should be considering. Next slide. Again, here is the lineup of our presentations today that we have from all our various partners. Next slide, please. The sources and credits for our presentation today. And next slide. Thank you so much for being part of this presentation, for your attention and time. And I hand it over to Mike.
Thanks, Anu. We appreciate that super informative presentation. One of the things that we're going to do is take some quick breaks between a couple of the presentations that we go through to give everybody a chance to take bio breaks or check their texts or emails because we have a long program ahead of us. Our next session will start at 9:40 and will include the presentation from College Now that covers should I consider a degree. These will cover both opportunities for connecting to and paying for higher education pathways. Following that will be presentations respectively from boot camps through Tech Elevator, training certification courses through New Horizons Learning Centers, Google certification programs through Google, and then our final presentation from Ohio Means Jobs will cover how to pay for those training programs. We'll look forward to seeing you back here for the start of College Now's presentation at 9:40. Thank you. And just a reminder to everybody, if you have questions, please include them in the question box. Thank you. Welcome back, everyone, to Right Steps for an IT Career. Our next session is going to be presented by a great organization in Northeast Ohio called College Now Greater Cleveland. Our presenter is Tanya Booker, and she will discuss ways that you can access higher education opportunities in the IT field, both at a four-year institution as well as at a community college. Oftentimes, cost is a prohibiting factor for many individuals. College Now can help with those roadblocks, as well as many other roadblocks that can prevent folks from achieving a college degree. Tanya, can you hear me?
I can, Mike.
All right, it's all yours. Take it away.
Good morning. I just want to speak for a few minutes to give you some basics of navigating through the systems or the red tape of attending or getting started in college. At College Now, we will help you fill out the application online. Most of the 2-year and 4-year programs you can fill out online. We will help you apply for your financial aid and search for scholarships. So the first thing that we do is, so you say you're interested in a career in IT, we would use our MAP database and go find different programs for the IT careers. And in that database, they'll have different careers, like maybe it's data analysis, maybe it's, you want to repair computers. There's probably 200 to 400 programs in our database. And each program will show where you can get training. It'll show you the average income for that particular program. Once you complete a certificate, an associate's, or a BA in whatever particular IT program you might be looking at. And from there, once we kind of figure out what way you want to go with your career, I always advise students, because most of the time when a student comes in, they need something that they're going to still be able to make money and attend their classes, usually part-time. So I will always, more than likely, unless the student is able to attend full-time, will kind of guide them to like a Tri-C, a 2-year program. Lorraine Community has 2-year programs, but within that 2-year program, before you finish the 2-year program, they also have certificates in the same program that those electives to get that certificate would complete electives for your 2-year program. So that way you can get your certificate before you ever graduate with your associates. So you can be working before you graduate with associates, so you're not sitting and not having any income come in. We also help students, because some students might have started college when they was younger, and for whatever reason, family responsibilities, health issues, whatever the reason, they might have had to stop out of their college career and return. So a lot of times students will come in with their student loans in default. We'll help you get those student loans out of default. We also, a lot of times students don't even know this until they're ready to return, once they've had to stop out for, life happens. They will owe a past due balance to the institute where they had previously attended. It might be 10, 20 years from now. And that past due balance got returned over to the Ohio Attorney General's office. So now your transcripts aren't going to transfer over the new institution. So we help those students with those past due balances to get those taken care of till they can re-enroll. If you go to our website, which is www.collegenowgc.org, and go all the way to the right of that website, and you'll see find scholarships. And you go about midway down that page, you'll see the Adult Learner Scholarship, which College Now offers. That is an awesome scholarship. It renews each semester. It starts out at about $750 a semester for the student, and it will go up each year that they attend. So that is one way of paying for it. We also, if you go to that same page and you scroll all the way down to the bottom, there's a database of outside scholarships, which I always encourage students to apply for. A lot of times students don't apply for scholarships because they think they're not eligible. And they think they're not eligible because, like I said, the majority of students that I work with, they have previously attended college. And maybe when you had to stop, you know, your GPA was affected by that. So they're thinking, I don't know, but you can go once you get started back and you have 2 semesters completed within whatever college you choose to go. You can go to your academic advisor and ask them for a reassessment. And some of those not so good grades can be dropped off the GPA once you prove that, you know, you're committed and your GPA is, you know, doing, you know, average or more. They will do a reassessment and take some of those old ones off that didn't look so pretty on there. So we will guide the student from the beginning all the way to the end with just some little tricks of the trade, like getting the academic reassessment completed. And Mike, I believe, has our link up on there. If you need to make an appointment to discuss anything, you'd like to just make an appointment to look at our MAPS database, see what kind of different programs are available out there for you. Please feel free to. We take about an hour with each person to go over everything, get them started, you know, from, like I said, filling out the application, from working with you if you have, you know, past due balance or your loans are in default. I suggest, if your situation is that your loans were in default even before we went into this furlough, because as soon as we come out of the furlough, your loans are going to go back into default. So if you're looking to go, let's say, start, you know, 2-year community college, their next class session will begin in January. I suggest you get started now. It takes about 2 months once we do all the paperwork and everything to get a student out of default for that to go through. So I suggest you start now. Also, when you start looking at colleges, if you do it on your own, or trade schools, vocational schools, 2-year or 4-year mainly, the 2-year and the 4-year, make sure that those colleges are regionally accredited. If the 2-year or the 4-year college is not regionally accredited, your credits will not transfer. So let's say Tri-C is regionally accredited, and that means it's accredited in the state of Ohio, and you can transfer those out of the state of Ohio. A lot of times you'll see places that says they're nationally accredited. You want regionally accredited when you're applying for a 2-year or a 4-year. So let's say you did 2 years at some, you know, XYZ, and they was not regionally accredited. And now you want to go do your bachelor's at a 4-year that is regionally accredited. Basically, those 2 years are lost. You get no credit if it's not regionally accredited. And regionally accredited means that I can say I do 2 years at Tri-C, and now my family has moved to Texas, and I've decided I want to go back for my bachelor's. Those 2 years I did at Tri-C is going to transfer to Texas, versus if I went to a 2-year program that was nationally accredited, it's not going to. And they're not going to explain that to you. So that's the reason why I recommend that, you know, if you're looking to get into some type of training, make an appointment with us. You are under no obligation. All of our services are free to you. Come and let us do, you know, a career in college session with you. Let us get you started. Tell us where you're looking at. We can tell you, you know, is it regionally accredited, or no, you need to, maybe look somewhere else. And then if you have a past due balance and you're looking to go back, that also takes anywhere between 2 to 3 months to get processed and to get through. So like I said, if you're looking to start something within, the next couple of months and you have a past due balance or your loans are in default, you need to make that appointment pretty soon with us so we can help you get things started and moving. And I believe that I am out of time. I'm sorry, went over a little bit. So if you have any questions, just send them. And at the end, we're going to go over them. And also, Mike will email them to me so we can get back with you. Okay. Thank you guys for your time.
Hey, Tanya, you actually have 10 more minutes, so feel free to, feel free to keep going. I have one or two questions at the end.
I'm sorry. So does anyone have any questions while I've stopped here at this point? Has anyone posted any questions, Mike?
Nope. Well, we have a very program-specific question about software testing that I'm going to kick to all of our panelists to see if they can provide a better answer for us. So, Sanjana, we see your question. I'm trying to find out an answer to that. But those are the only questions we have right now. You answered a number of my questions that I kind of had in my back pocket, like how long it takes for the process to unfold. One of the things I did ask is, for folks who are out there searching for a possible college program to attend, how do they tell if a program is nationally accredited or regionally accredited? Because that was not something I knew about.
Okay, so if you ask like someone in admissions, and I don't like to talk about anyone, but they will tell you, or they should, or a lot of times that they will put it on their website that they're nationally accredited to try to draw that student in. But nationally accredited, it really isn't worth anything, basically. Regionally accredited means that the Higher Education Commission has, give them accreditation, is exactly what it means. So that means that it's basically good anywhere in the United States if it's regionally accredited. Same thing as if sometimes we get students who are maybe, I'll just use one I worked with recently, China. Now those have to go out for reassessment before we can say how much credit those will get. Sometimes they can get credit for things if they're coming from another country, sometimes not so much. We send those out or have the student to send them out. I think it's $10 the student has to pay if they're coming from another country. And they will evaluate their transcripts and let them know like what Cleveland State accepts, what Tri-C accepts. So that's the only time that I know of anything that was not regionally accredited getting accepted is when a student's coming from another country and say they already have a degree, but they might need to take some other classes here to validate that degree. That's the only time I know of anywhere taking some credits that was not regionally accredited.
We have a question for Jeff that actually might be relevant for you at college now, Tanya, and he asks, do you have or need mentors for students looking to enter the IT field? I know we at GCP and RITE do, so Jeff, I'll follow up with you, but I know College Now also does mentoring for college students as well. So I don't know if you could answer that or add any more to that question.
We have mentors, and those are for the students who are enrolled in college. So we have mentors who will mentor the student who's straight out of high school. And we also have mentors in our adult learners program, and we will mentor the non-traditional students. And, as I said before, we pretty much will guide that student all the way through, help them with any bumps in the road that they might, come across. A lot of times with the non-traditional student, we're able to help them find funding to. I always tell the non-traditional student, once you start college, it's Murphy's Law. If it could happen, it's going to happen now, okay? But we have, through our partners and, just networking within the community, we have been able to help adult students maybe with their rent because, they've not working, or, maybe the car breaks down. A lot of times too, different campuses will have different programs for students who, and if the student doesn't know that, there's help there, they just don't know, who needs help with like car repairs or, paying their rent. We've been able to even connect students who have needed food. So we're kind of there for the student no matter what their need is from the time they start to the time they finish. And then once they finish, we'll help them even with their student loan repayments, getting them into an income-based repayment plan or a public service forgiveness loan if you're in public service. So we're kind of this, most of our students stay with us once they get connected. They will stay with us, and like I said, we have some who return every year to get that income-based repayment plan recertified. And we talk to the students about, what do you do once you graduate and that 6-month grace period's up on your student loans. And you're not working, and then that's where, the income-based repayment plan comes in. So you don't go into default on your student loans, because student loans is the one thing that you can never file bankruptcy on. It's going to be on your credit report forever. It doesn't just stay there for 7 years. And when we're younger, we don't realize these things. And like I said, I think that's the reason why we end up with so many non-traditional students who are either in default or past due balance. And then, they come and now they're, in their 30s and they didn't realize how this was going to affect them when they were 19, So, I mean, we all did it. We were all young at one point and we have to make our own mistakes, right? But that's the biggest thing that I encourage people is, even though you've graduated, still, keep in touch with us we can make sure your student loans are on track, either for public service loan forgiveness. You qualify for public service loan forgiveness if you're, nurse, doctor, lawyer, police officer, but also if you work for any nonprofit, you qualify for public service loan forgiveness on your loan.
You're kind of breaking up there, Tanya. Can you still hear me?
Okay, yeah, I can still hear you. We will help them from writing the essay to the, proofreading essays for the scholarships.
I have a question actually, real quickly from the audience, and I think you answered it, but George wanted to know, does I think the mentorship program also available for older workers? And you mentioned non-traditional workers, and can you maybe talk a little bit about, in our last few minutes, what is a non-traditional student, what is a non-traditional student versus a traditional student, to kind of help everybody put that into context if they hadn't heard that term before?
Okay. Traditional student is lowest student age, usually between the age of 18 and 23. And then non-traditional is, 23 and up. At college now, for our adult learners program and non-traditional services, we do 19 and up for non-traditional, because a lot of times students will take that year off, we call it a gap year, before they attend college. So let's say my son graduated fall of 2020, but he's not now enrolled in college. So he's taken a year off. So that's how we define it at college now. If you have that gap year that you did not go to college for 1 or more years, then you're defined as non-traditional. colleges normally define non-traditional as 23 and older.
Gotcha. Thank you, Tanya. I appreciate that. So, George, I hope that answered your question. Is there anything else you want to close with, Tanya? But before we wrap it up, I wanted to let everybody else know that in the chat box, I included a link to set up a meeting with Tanya and her College Now team. One of the reasons why we really wanted to have them involved is because, she said it, they kind of cover the whole gamut of services needed for students to achieve that college successes, and they work with all of the colleges. So we didn't want to just bring one college in there and kind of and not let you all access those services for the many other institutions around the region. So I just wanted to quickly say that before we wrap up. And Tanya, the floor is yours to close out.
I just encourage, if you're interested in a career in IT, it can be very rewarding. My brother is in IT, and he's done well in life. And just an FYI, he only has a 2-year associate, so it can be accomplished if that's where you want to be. And ask yourself, we always hear the question of, when we were growing up, when we were younger, or we've even asked our own children, what do you want to be? Ask yourself, who do you want to be? Is it an IT person? Or is it, a nurse? Or, is it, do you want to be the CEO? Who do you want to be? Envision yourself of that person that you want to be. And good luck to each and every one of you guys. And thank you, Mike, for helping me and setting everything up.
Great, and fantastic presentation. Tanya, everyone, if you're considering availing yourself of the training provided in the university system, and as Tanya mentioned, that could be a four-year bachelor degree program. It could also be a 2-year associate's program, but it could also be a certificate program. We encourage you to reach out to the team at College Now. Again, I posted the link in the chat box. I'll post it again. It doesn't look like it went through to everybody. And with that, we're going to take another break between now and 10:10. I encourage you to again, walk your dog, grab another coffee, do what you need to do, and join us back here for another exciting presentation from what is one of the more innovative training platforms in the region for IT skills, and with the fine folks over at Tech Elevator to talk about whether or not you should consider a programming or coding boot camp. So thanks for being here. We'll look forward to seeing you back here in 10 minutes at 10:10. Thanks. Welcome back, everybody. Next up for our RITE Steps to an IT Career program, we're going to hear from the wonderful team at Tech Elevator. Presenting on behalf of Tech Elevator is Valerie Savage, their Pathway Director. Valerie, can you hear me?
Yes, can you hear me?
We can hear you. Take it away.
Outstanding. Thank you, Mike. I'm really excited to be here to present to you guys. A brief introduction about myself. My name is Valerie Savage. I am a Cleveland native who actually boomeranged home after attending college in Pittsburgh. Love the city, but I definitely wanted to come home. My network was here and my family was here, and I'm really glad I returned. Up until my time at Tech Elevator, I was working as the HR director for probably about a 250-person company. We operated in a couple different countries, and I was able to get that director role after about 12 years in human resources. So admittedly, I am not a tech person, but I love tech, eat, sleep, breathe it, but not a coder myself. Next slide, please, Mike. All right, so Anu alluded to this earlier. Code is everywhere. So this quote is from Peter Denning. He's the former president from the Association of Computing Machinery. He says, learning to speak the language of information gives you the power to transform the world. To Anu's point earlier, think about your own daily technology consumption and usage. From your alarm clock to your automated coffee maker to satellite radio and the apps that you check every day. And think about all the ways that technology has either improved your life or made things easier. So much of technology comes through coding, and we've really found that boot camps are a great way for us to kind of help deal with that tech talent shortage. I don't know about you, but I am constantly hearing managers and recruiters say, I can't find the right talent. So we really seek to help fill that void with what we do at Tech Elevator. Next slide, please. Perfect. So software developers are one of the greatest, highest growing employment opportunities that exist. This data is from the US Bureau of Labor Statistics, basically looking out to 2028. The employment opportunities for software developers are going to be basically 4 times the national average. So, you know, my experience has been the same way with this. During COVID, we have seen employers slow down their hiring a little bit, but they are still hiring. So to Anu's point earlier, thankfully, a lot of these jobs can be done remotely. So thankfully, we haven't been quite as affected as the overall economy. Next slide, please. Great. Again, very familiar to what Anu said earlier. I'm really hearkening back to her points because they are so strong. Every company is a tech company. Kroger, for example. I don't know about you, but I've been doing most of my grocery shopping online since the pandemic started, just doing a quick drive up to pick up my groceries. That's not possible without coding. I bank with PNC. Haven't stepped foot into a branch in months just because I haven't needed to. I'm able to take care of all of my banking needs online. Progressive, submitting a claim for an insurance issue. Take photos on your phone through the app and upload them. No more phone calls and letter writing and back and forth. All of that is possible through code. So we typically like to remind everybody, all of these companies that you see are technology companies, even if they're not necessarily considered technology companies in the traditional sense. Next slide, please. So we found soft skills or power skills are incredibly important when it comes to succeeding, especially in a post-COVID world. I don't know about you, but I've had to be really adaptable and flexible with suddenly learning that I'm going to be working from home. Tech savviness obviously counts for something. So much of what we do is online. We're almost a paperless organization at Tech Elevator. We do everything in the cloud. So definitely being able to navigate different technical tools for today's workforce is hugely important. Creativity and innovation goes without saying. Data literacy ties in a little bit with tech savviness, but back-end programming, that's critical for a full stack developer. Critical thinking, coding skills, leadership, emotional intelligence, and a lifelong learning mentality. Because at the end of the day, a bootcamp's not going to be able to teach you everything that you need to know in 14 short weeks, but what we do really teach you here is how to learn. This is kind of core to our program, and it's what's going to be critical for you in your future success. Next slide, please. All right, so boot camps have been around for a while. We are certainly not the only one, but I want to tell you why you should consider Tech Elevator in particular. Next slide, please. Something that's really, really important to Tech Elevator is our mission. We find that having a clear, concise mission really, really helps us determine any direction in which we need to go. If we ever face a crisis or aren't sure where to go with something, we simply look back to our mission. And that mission is we elevate people, companies, and communities. We exist to be the connection that many of our students need, whether they're starting a new career, upskilling, or totally pivoting and doing a career change. The fact of the matter is we believe that smart people in our communities can fulfill their potential. And if we can connect them to valuable skills, we can change their career paths and their lives for the better. Next slide, please. During COVID, we really wanted to put our money where our collective mouth is. So we've launched resources, free resources, just to help the community in which we live and work. Career Conversations with Kelly Brucker. They're literally free virtual career advice sessions. Kelly was one of our original pathway directors and became promoted. So she's actually in this new role, just sharing valuable information with the community. We also have Dan and Joe who host Learn to Code sessions. If you're not sure that you think you might like coding, check it out, try it. We're not going to charge you. We want you to help discover what your talents are. We also offer a ton of resources, how to choose a coding bootcamp. Why is Tech Elevator right for me? Maybe it's not. Maybe I need an income share agreement. Maybe I need to check out another option. And then we also have resources on how to pay for a coding bootcamp, because elephant in the room, it's not free, but there are a lot of great resources that we can get you in touch with. Next slide, please. All right, the great thing about Tech Elevator is we work really closely with employers because after all, part of our mission is to elevate people, companies, and communities. Ultimately, we want to make sure that the skills we're educating our students with are demand driven. So we work with employers to discover, what skills do they need? What exactly do their junior developers need to know to hit the ground running when they get a job? Ultimately, we found that there's two object-oriented programming languages we prefer, Java and .NET. We offer both tracks. They're very, very similar. Literally, the only difference is the object-oriented programming language that they center around. Everybody learns, well, I'll tell you on the next slide. So Tech Elevator, really, really high level. We are a full-time program. It's a boot camp. So we're talking 700 to 800 hours of development time over 14 weeks. As I said, we teach Java and .NET. We are full stack, code ready. That means basically upon graduation, our students are able to complete junior developer positions. We've had some STE or software testing engineers. We have had project managers, but I will say probably over 90% of our graduates just go on to be full stack software developers. And on top of all that hard skills that you're learning, I actually oversee the Pathway program. So this is our career prep and readiness program. And I'll tell you a little bit more about that as we continue through the slides. Next slide, please, Mike. All right, like I said, I am not a techie, so I know just enough to be dangerous, but I can walk you through our full stack development. We teach the front end. So the front end is basically the interface that's displayed to you when you go to a website like Google or Amazon. It sends and retrieves data from web services by making requests to a server via the internet. So the skills that you see at the bottom, HTML5, CSS, and JavaScript, those are the front end technologies we teach. We also teach you about web services. Web services process and respond to requests from the front end by storing or retrieving information from a database. So the two languages you see there, Java and C#, those are the languages that enable us to use those web services. Finally, the database languages. Databases, just imagine a huge file cabinet on the web. So we use SQL, Postgres, or SQL Server to help gather that information from the database through the web services to bring it to the front end. Next slide, please. Awesome. So this is my bread and butter. I am the Pathway Program Director, and I basically am your point of contact through the recruiting world. My goal is basically to make sure that you are fully prepared to go out and continue managing your professional brand and network on an ongoing basis. I walk you through 30+ pathway programs about how to craft an elevator pitch. What do you do when someone says, tell me about yourself? Are you fumbling and you're not quite sure what to highlight? Do I talk about, my hobbies, or, do I talk about my career? I'm really not sure where to go. I will walk you through all of that. We do some strengths finder assessments to help you figure out what you're naturally good at. And then we use that vocabulary to help you define that personal brand and really talk about why you are special and you are the person that individuals should hire, because everybody brings those soft power skills to the table. Many of our students are career changers. So we say that everybody brings a skill set with them, even if it's not related to technology. You've probably done problem solving in your life. You've worked on communication throughout your professional career, even if it wasn't technical. And then after I imbue you with all of that wonderful information to help you talk about yourself, we help you make connections with hiring partners. We have over 200 mentors to help you begin building that professional network, because Cleveland is a big city in a small town. Everybody knows everybody. Next slide, please. All right, so we are boot camp. This is a little bit of an overwhelming schedule because it's kind of a conglomeration of several days. Typically, you don't have maybe this many activities, but we do keep you very busy. So typically class starts at 9 a.m. By 10 o'clock, you're doing live coding in the classroom. Around 12 o'clock, you'll have a lunch break. You do need to eat to stay productive. Oftentimes, we'll bring in companies to help you understand the differences between, say, a large company, a small company, a mid-sized company. Help organizations talk about their mission and begin to start doing some soft networking and getting introductions. That afternoon, we'll maybe have a career coaching one-on-one session. Maybe after that, you have a one-on-one with one of our additional instructors. Say something just wasn't clicking in class and you need a little bit more help. We have a third instructor outside of our classroom instructors to help kind of clarify anything that's a little muddy. We'll also potentially do interview practice that afternoon. And then at 4:30, you can connect with your classmates in our virtual space and maybe play some games to de-stress before the end of the day. But like I said, we keep you pretty busy. It is called a boot camp for a reason. Next slide. All right, the best part about the bootcamp is you are not doing this alone. You have an entire team supporting you, and we have an entire team supporting us. So our students ultimately are at the center of this because, again, our mission is to elevate people, companies, and communities. Our pathway director, myself, my boss, the campus director, our admissions coordinator, and our instructors all kind of ensconce you in this safe space. We want you to fail at Tech Elevator. I know it sounds really, really weird, but I tell my students that all the time. I would be more than happy if you failed at Tech Elevator. Because if you fail in a mock interview in a safe space, that's okay. You don't also have the added pressure of worrying about losing a job because you didn't do so hot in an interview. We will work with you. We will highlight things that you're just lacking on and maybe need to work on to improve. Because ultimately, those students who fail in a mock interview, they go on to do incredibly well when they're in front of an actual employer because they've learned from their mistakes. Sometimes it's uncomfortable. Sometimes we have to have those tough talks. But we come from a place of we want to help you improve, and you can't do that if you don't know what your shortcomings are. Next slide, please. All right, so what do the outcomes look like? Like I mentioned, we do charge tuition, so we like to have all the information up front so that people can make an educated decision. Next slide, please. All right, I will say these are pre-COVID numbers. We are trending pretty darn well when it comes to job placements. We're maybe 20% below this at this point, but we're not quite at the end of our placement cycle. But I do want to be fully transparent. These are numbers from pre-COVID. 95% graduation rate and a 94% job placement rate. We are hugely proud of our outcomes. In fact, if you see this logo on the bottom right-hand side, the Council on Integrity and Results Reporting, we fully report our outcomes. We use the phrase subject ourselves. We subject ourselves to an audit through SIR because we want to put our money where our mouth is. We 100% believe that individuals can be successful with Tech Elevator, and we give you those numbers to prove it. Our average starting salary for individuals who graduate is $59,000. This indicates a $23,000 average salary increase for students who come through our program. We are really proud of that. That comes in through our elevation mission. Next slide, please. All right, so if you're wondering if you're a fit, I don't know, I've never coded before. Could this possibly be for me? We look for people who are problem solvers. Critical thinkers, you don't just take things at face value. You really dig in and try to understand the who, what, where, when, why. Creative thinkers, are you the kind of person who comes into a new job and looks at a process and asks asks why it's not being done another way that might be more efficient. You're a self-learner. You're constantly going down the Wikipedia rabbit hole, at 10 o'clock at night on the couch. How did I end up here? Just because you're interested in things and always looking to learn more. And you have to work well with others. The old trope of programmers sitting in a hoodie in the basement, just drinking Mountain Dew all by themselves, that's not really true anymore. So many developers do pair programming or group work. You can't be a solo practitioner when it comes to coding. Everybody's more effective when they work with others. 2 heads are better than 1, 4 heads are better than 2. So if you're still not sure, we offer additional resources to help you decide whether Tech Elevator might be right for you. We have a personality test that'll help you determine whether or not you have the grit that it takes to be a developer. And we also have an aptitude test. Again, it's free. I've taken it, which of these things is not like the other kind of thing, but it's a great test and it's free. So if you're wondering about the next steps, Mike's going to share some links with you guys in a post-attendee email. We encourage you to visit those sites, check out our website, learn some resources, visit us at an open house. We're, again, full transparency, really happy to talk to you and answer any questions that you might have about Tech Elevator. I think that's about all I've got. I'm running up on time. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to send them through chat or shout them out if you're able.
Okay, well, thanks, Valerie. I appreciate it. That was a super informative presentation. You guys certainly have a super cool program going on. And I know from both visiting it and talking with companies that there's a lot of value for and demand for the folks that you guys put out. Again, really a great option. Wanted to again remind everybody that to answer or ask any questions in the question box. Valerie, we did have one question come up, and that is, what is the cost? I think you answered that in your slides, though.
Oh, honestly, I might not have. Total cost is $15,500. We are an accredited educational provider through Ohio Means Jobs, and I think we have a panelist later on in this discussion to help talk through funding.
That is correct.
We also did recently release a scholarship, and there's information about that on our website. It's actually aimed at helping BIPOC and women and transgender individuals to increase their representation in technology. So definitely check out our scholarship, and we can certainly provide you more information on funding at an open house or an interview.
So I'll take a second to do this since we have 1 minute. We had a question about this slide. Can you tell us the answer?
Oh, okay, let me look at it. Hold on. It would be D.
All right. So whoever guessed D is correct. So we also had another question come in from Amira. She asked, is there a schedule for people working full-time?
Oh, that is a great question. Unfortunately, no. We are right now a full-time boot camp, but I don't know if anybody's seen Miracle on 34th Street. I kind of like to pull a Chris Kringle. While we don't offer a part-time option, there are definitely other boot camps that do offer part-time options. One of them is actually local, so I would encourage you to check those out. But no, at this point, we are a full-time only program.
Great. All right. Again, we appreciate you coming in and sharing all the great information about Tech Elevator and answering our questions. We appreciate all of you, our attendees, continuing on through with us. We're going to, again, check into another 10-minute break. We'll welcome you guys back at 10:40, where we'll talk about short-term credential programs with Damon, who is representing New Horizons Computer Learning Centers. So talk to everybody in 10 minutes. Thanks. Welcome back, everybody, to Right Steps to an IT Career. Next up on the agenda, we have Damon Campbell, who will be representing New Horizons Learning Centers to chat with us about attaining a short-term training certificate course with their organization. Damon, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right, the floor is all yours, sir.
Hey, just to real quick, just to piggyback on Valerie said there, she mentioned Pittsburgh. I am from Pittsburgh. It is a wonderful city, but I've lived here for about 20 years now, so please don't hold that against me. I wanted to, thank the GCP for this opportunity to speak. Yes, my name is Damon Campbell, and I work with New Horizons. And at New Horizons, we focus on industry standard certifications and career paths. You can do the next slide. People usually come to me or New Horizons that are either starting out in the IT field in a couple different pathways, which I'll discuss, or that they may have a general IT degree that they're kind of looking to kind of get a leg up on, the job market. One thing here with the job market, I've noticed over the couple years I've been with New Horizons that a lot of companies are looking for specific training now, certifications, because they want that particular kind of core knowledge in something. You can do the next slide. I want to talk. I'll talk a little bit about some of these programs that are listed here. But here at New Horizons, we kind of focus a lot on cybersecurity, network administration, server administration, cloud computing, help desk, tier 1, tier 2, tech support, coding and programming. These are all pretty common pathways that people reach out to me about. If you ever do a job market search, some of the certifications that we do, which I'll talk about here in a minute, you'll see a lot of those, a lot of employers looking for this stuff. So just like cybersecurity, for example, we do a lot of CompTIA. It's a quite a bit of a, you'll see that a lot with your A+, Network+, Security+, Pen Test Plus, CYSA, CASP, and we do stuff like CEH and the CISSP as well. So we go pretty far into the cybersecurity route. I know it was mentioned at the beginning of this presentation today. Cybersecurity is definitely it has been, and it will continue to kind of explode as far as people need it to fill these roles. All of our classes are taught online. They're live, even before COVID, unfortunately. We were teaching online live as well. We have our facilities in Independence, but we've been closed, obviously, with COVID. So our classes are interactive. You interact with the instructor. It's live taught, like I said, but it's also recorded. So up to 6 months, you can go back and review every single second that you are in class. There's practice exams, homework, lab work, interactions, all that kind of stuff as well. When a class is finished, one particular thing, then I would assign you a practice exam, like a third-party neutral practice exam. And you could take it multiple times. There's different versions of it. And once you get a 90% or above, then I give you a voucher to go to CompTIA, Microsoft, PMP, Lean Six Sigma, SHRM, many of the classes and stuff we teach that sit for the real exam at that point. We have a couple different class formats as well. So our typical classes that we have usually run a 9 to 5. It depends. It could be 2 or 3 days a week, maybe 5, 40 hours a week. You'll have your hour for lunch, and there's several breaks. But we do have career paths, and that's kind of one I wanted to talk about here. The first one here, this network system administration program. This is one of our longest programs. This is 7.5 months long. This will focus on CompTIA, Security Plus, CCNA, which is networking, and server administration, which actually is about to change because Microsoft is about to retire their server certificates. So they're going to be switching everything to cloud-based. So we are also kind of rolling over to the cloud-based with your Azure and desktop administration, cloud computing. The next one is a Security Associate Program. This is a 10-week program. Now, this is one that I do often, working with Ohio Means Jobs, which I know Rachel will be speaking later. But this is a 10-week program. This is a CompTIA driven kind of thing. It's an A+ overview, but it's going to prepare you to take the CompTIA Network Plus and Security Plus exam. You can do the next slide. These two right here, this is, like I said, it's multi-elective. So we have a lot of different classes. Like I said, Cybersecurity, Network Plus, Cloud, there's so many different classes and certifications that we focus on. So people that want to kind of custom make a program, these two things right here is kind of what we use to when we work with Ohio Means Jobs and a couple other different agencies, which I'll talk about at the end. You could do the next slide. So we are IT focused, yes, but we do a lot of business administration stuff as well. So I do get a lot of questions and calls and people wanting to do stuff like, your Microsoft classes, which Excel, Word, Outlook, those kind of stuff. They're either trying to look for some kind of general knowledge to help them at a job, or they're actually looking for those certifications to sit for the Microsoft certifications. But we kind of go up the chain as well with project management, the CAPM, the PMP, SHRM for HR, Lean Six Sigma, Green and Black Belt. There's some accounting stuff as well, and there's various other soft skills. We have a lot of different soft skills classes as well. You can go to the next slide. The Business Office Associate Program and one of the other business one is, again, a common one that it's about a 10 or 12-week program. So these longer programs that we have, like the 10-week, the NSAP, which is the 7.5 months, those go in a different kind of format other than like our typical 9 to 5. We do offer those. Those are about 18 hours per week. There's morning sessions, afternoon sessions, and night sessions, which run about Monday through Thursday, either 9:30 in the morning to 2 p.m. or it'll be a 12:30 to 5 p.m. Monday through Thursday. And our nighttime program would be a 6 to 10:30 Monday through Thursday as well. So there's a couple different options there for people who may be working, who they can't be in class during the day. Let's see, next slide. So typically when people call us and I start speaking with somebody, I kind of assess their background, see what kind of pathway that they are looking to go. There is an assessment exam that we give. I definitely would never want to put anybody in a class that they could not handle. And I'm very honest with, what somebody might be getting themselves into who are brand new in one particular field. I work with them throughout, and at the very end, I help them on to, acquiring their certifications as well. I also work with some local companies and IT hiring firms here in the area in their chosen field. Obviously, you are choosing this pathway for a reason, and I want to help you achieve those goals. I am a Marine vet, so I originally started working with New Horizons a couple years ago, originally to help my fellow vets into a better life. A lot of veterans were working dead-end jobs, or just I wanted to reach out to them and help them. And in these 2 years I've been here, I've actually been really pleased to help quite a few veterans into something better. But as soon as I started, it quickly turned into me working with a lot of different people with a lot of different backgrounds. So again, working with OMJ, the VA vocational rehab, post 9/11, Department of Labor, and I work with a couple other workforce programs here in Cleveland. I don't want anybody to, well, I try to help them get as much as they can, as much training and certifications to put them in the best possible position. And I don't want people paying for anything on their own. So I try to help them with everything I can to help them achieve those goals. What else? I think it might be it for me, if anybody has any questions.
Thanks, Damon. We did have one question. A couple presentations ago, somebody asked about, and I asked you this question, so I know the answer. But if you guys do any software testing training.
What specifically do you know what they were looking for?
I don't. They said that they did an online course for 13 days through what is called GRU 99, which is software testing. And the question was, is there any other training programs to provide software testing programs?
Yeah, if they wanted to reach out to me, I could definitely try to help them, point them in a right direction there.
Okay, and we'll just for everybody's edification that are participating today as an attendee, we'll make everybody's contact information available both on the slideshow at the end, so you could take a picture, write those down, or type those into your email. But we'll also be sending around a follow-up document, as a few presenters have mentioned, that include things like contact information and relevant links to all of the important things that all of the presenters have covered today. Well, another question, Damon. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to add to, obviously, Valerie mentioned this stuff as well before, which is a good kind of point. Unfortunately, in the COVID world, with job searches and stuff like that, stuff has come down. It has been a little bit harder, but a lot of people are going back to school right now. They're looking to improve on these skills for when the market does pick back up, and to put themselves in the best possible position. So I would encourage people, either which way, how they do it, through all the presenters here today, to take advantage of all of us in order to achieve those goals. Some other thing too, working with Ohio Means Jobs and some of these other workforce programs that I do, again, these classes are online, they're virtual. Some people don't have the setup at home to do so. Since COVID started, we've been loaning out computers for people to take their classes at home. So, it doesn't hinder them at all. So I've been happy to help ever which way we can.
That's an important thing to note. And, unfortunately, we probably don't have any of those folks on the line right now that don't have a computer, because it takes a computer to log in. But
yeah, good point.
We organizationally, for those of you that on the that are attending that might know or have somebody in your family that is suffering from the digital divide, either they lack access to broadband infrastructure or computers or hotspots to connect to the internet, I would encourage them to reach out to Ohio Means Jobs as well. I know that they work with a fantastic organization called PCs for People that repurpose the gently used equipment that companies go through on a regular basis, and make those available to folks in need. And obviously, we've seen a huge demand for that in this current pandemic environment, where many things, including workforce training, but not limited to that, as well for K-12 education, telehealth, and job searching, all are being done in a virtual environment. So if you have folks in your network, attendees that you think might be able to get a leg up with some of those technology resources, I'd encourage you to stick around and wait for Rachel's presentation, so you can know how to get in touch with her and the folks at OMJ to maybe figure out how to get some of that technology to those people in need. We had another question, Damon, and I'm not sure if if this is the right thing for you or not. But we had a question about. Oh, now I'm trying to scroll through it. We had a question about web developer programs. Do you guys have those at your organization?
We do for sure. Again, Microsoft's going to be retiring their MCSAs here at the end of the year. Okay. So one thing that we before this, I mean, that knowledge is still going to be key, even though Microsoft is going to be retiring like their web applications MCSA at the end of the year. That doesn't mean that companies aren't looking for it. So if people are wanting to get that specific certification, then I would do it sooner rather than later, because you won't even be able to test for it, I believe, after the January 31st. But we do have, we do have a lot of other coding and programming classes as well.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir.
Are there any other questions? I see Elizabeth posting a number of great resources with regards to Cleveland County Public Library. So I'm going to, she's putting those in the question box. I've asked her to kind of drop those into the chat. Those are also, it's a great organization with some great resources. If there are no questions, Damon, do you have any kind of final thoughts for us before we jump to our break?
No, just thank you again for allowing myself and everybody to talk today.
Fantastic. I appreciate it, Damon. Again, great organization with great programs. I encourage all of you that are interested in some of the things you heard today to reach out to Damon. Like I said, we'll have his contact information available both at the end of the program and in the post-event follow-up email. And with that, we're gonna take our next break, 11 o'clock to 11:10, a few minutes early, and then coming up, we'll have a presentation from the team at Google, who have some great opportunities available with their certificate programs as well. So stick around or join us back at 11:10 for that program. We'll see you then. Thanks. Welcome back, everybody, to our program, Right Steps to an IT Career. We're super excited for our next presentation from the awesome team at Google, who are here to talk about their career certificate programs. Christian, can you hear me?
Yep. Can you hear me okay, Mike?
I can hear you okay. I'd like to introduce Christian Michael with the Google team. Christian, the floor is yours. Let me know when you want me to advance the slides. And I got your video queued up all and ready for you as well. So just give me the high sign when you want me to hit play on that.
Sounds good. And I have my video live as well, so hopefully you can see me.
I think so. Yep, we see you.
All right, great. Well, thanks for having me, Mike. Just so everybody knows a little bit about me, my name is Christian Michael. I'm a program manager for the Google IT certificate. I'm a first-generation college student. I started my own career path that led me to Google by taking courses through my local community college, which is in Pueblo, Colorado. I'm a firm believer in skill-based training, just like the Google IT certificate. So I'm excited to talk to you a little bit about that today. If you could advance the slide. So this session, you're going to learn how to kickstart your entry-level IT support career with our 5-course program. And I'll talk a little bit about some other programs, certificate programs that we have as well. You'll hear details about what you can learn, the career supports that you'll have access to, including connections to top employers. And then I'm going to give you just a quick video of one of our completers, Daniel Anderson, that really captures his progress, not only through the program, but what that looked like into job placement. And if you'd like to access additional resources now, if you have access to the web right now, which you might if you're viewing this webinar, you can go to grow.google/certificates, and you'll find a whole bunch more of the information that I'll be addressing today. So this is our agenda. We're going to break this into 4 sections, I should say. Program overview. We'll talk a little bit about the impact of our program. You'll hear from Daniel Anderson, and I'll reference other resources we have. So let's get started. And next slide, and next slide. So to back up a little bit, why did we create this program? At Google, the challenge we faced in finding qualified candidates to join our own IT support team inspired the creation of this Google Support Professional Certificate program. We really struggled to find qualified candidates for Google's internal support functions globally. But we knew that qualified did not have to mean having a 4-year college degree. In fact, the majority of IT support jobs in the US don't require a traditional college degree. So we partnered with a nonprofit organization for low-income young adults in the US called Europe, and we built trainings and hiring pathways into IT support roles at Google. It included a 6-month work-based learning experience followed by 2 summer internships in IT support, and then a role in a full-time IT residency program. And the foundation of that effort is a full scholarship program that we launched with year uppers at Google to get their associate's degree in IT. And at the time, the stats were against us. The typical graduation rate for a low-income student at a 2-year college was 13%. But 2 years into our program, 87% of year uppers on average were accepted into their internships and on track to get their degrees. So we had evidence that IT is a teachable field, and if we as Google could prioritize skill-based trainings over traditional degree requirements, we could create real paths into jobs at Google. So we wanted to make these opportunities available to anyone, anywhere. IT support, as you all know, is a high-growth, high-paying field. The median annual salary is around $55,000, according to the Bureau of Labor and Statistics. So we developed a very hands-on online training called the Google IT Support Professional Certificate. And it's designed to bring learners, beginner learners, to entry-level job readiness in about 3 to 6 months. The program, which is available on the Coursera learning platform, is exclusively developed by Google, and it covers the foundations and really the fundamentals of IT support. And it's part of our Grow with Google program, which is our company's initiative to create economic opportunity. Next slide, please. So this is what you'll learn. This is a 5-course self-paced program. It covers troubleshooting, customer service, networking, operating systems, system administration, and security. All of the fundamentals needed to land an entry-level role in IT support. No college degree or background knowledge in IT is required. Next slide, please. So what's unique about this program? First, we took a practice-based interactive approach. And the program tackles a classic job seeker's dilemma. And that dilemma is you can't get a job without the experience, right? You can't get the experience without the job. So throughout this online training, you'll engage in a mix of hands-on labs and other interactive assessments so that you can troubleshoot just like you would on the job, just like the first day or week on a help desk job. And you'll also have the opportunity to engage with fellow learners throughout online programs, or online forums, I should say. Our online forums, our learners are posting over 100 discussion threads on average per month. And they use these forums to get to know each other, to receive support from each other, tips from each other, and just encouragement. Second, the content, products, and platforms that are taught are Google agnostic. That's a really important point, especially to employers that are hiring out of this program. The programs are designed for learners to jumpstart their careers at any company across all sectors. And third, we were laser focused on building a diverse and inclusive curriculum. So for example, we incorporated over 50 non-technical videos into the curriculum, showcasing the personal stories of Google employees. Along the way, you'll meet some of the IT specialists turned security engineers, several female executives, a veteran from the US Navy. They all talk about coming from their humble beginnings, struggling with different issues as they work through their experience in training and post-secondary education. And really how they rely on grit and determination to achieve their goals. And our curriculum is rooted in the very basic belief that it should have the heart and soul that resonates with all learners. And fourth, we understand that persistence is an important skill in being successful in the ever-changing field of tech. And so we reward that in the program. So you'll get multiple attempts to be successful, to complete assessments. We'll let you know why you got something wrong, so you can learn from that as well. And then lastly, it's just a really playful learning experience. We brought some of that Google magic to all of our certificate programs. So learners often give us feedback that they felt a personal connection to their online instructors, who are all Googlers that worked in IT support. The online instructors really bring their whole selves to the program and are really passionate about educating others around the field of IT. They share their personal journeys. They joke a lot throughout the curriculum. We wrote some really terrible IT support puns throughout the script that I'm sure that you'll pick up on throughout the journey. And we even have an instructor leave the scene riding off on a skateboard. So it's just really fun. It's quirky. It's uniquely Google, as we say. Next slide, please. So job supports. We felt this is really important because it's not just about getting the skills, it's also making sure that our learners are supported in their job search. So we embed job prep resources throughout the curriculum. And just to give you some examples of those, is we give you a suite of Google created resumes and interview prep videos. We also have downloadable IT support specific resume templates. And I mean, quite honestly, this is an underutilized resource, which is just a huge value. And it's absolutely free to those who take our program. And that's Big Interview. And if you don't know what Big Interview is, you can go right now to biginterview.com. It is an interactive AI-driven interview experience that gives you feedback. It also allows you to say, hey, I only have I only have a day to prepare for this interview. Give me some short vignette videos and some practice, given that I just have that short amount of time to prepare, and it will give you something that is adjusted for that time frame. If you have multiple weeks, it also gives you that. It also gets more challenging as you move along. As you all know, if you've interviewed, that first interview could be easier than perhaps that second or final interview. So it actually progresses as well. So we also provide completers a job board that features local and national IT support roles. And it's really meant to be a clearinghouse for all of those positions that are available in your area. You'll see jobs from employers that are part of our hiring consortium, which means that they are actively searching for Google IT support completers. So they're actually looking at the job platform, at profiles of completers of our program. But you'll also see employers that are not yet part of our hiring consortium that are also looking for that talent. So it's really meant to be your one-stop shop for IT support roles. We also make career coaching and job placement support available through a leading staffing agency, which is absolutely free. We cover the cost both on the learner side and the employer side to make connections between talent and those job placements that are available. Next slide, please. I'm going to talk just very quickly about that direct route to employers, which I think is really important when you're thinking about certificate programs or any sort of training program. Is how is this going to connect me to jobs? Google brought together over 50 national employers like Walmart, Bank of America, Best Buy, Hulu, the Home Depot, Intel, Sprint, and of course Google, to consider those who complete our program for their IT support roles. We've also worked locally, and that's really meant there in Northeastern Ohio to bring on more regional and local employers to this hiring consortium to really make sure that they're considering completers of our certificate as well. In your area, that has meant Cleveland Clinic, Smuckers, as you see on here, MCPC, and a variety of other employers in your area. So again, we want to make sure that we're also educating employers about the value of this certificate and the technical skills that you as learners will acquire by way of the certificate program. Next slide, please. And one more slide, thank you. So I'm going to talk a little bit about impact. Before COVID, we had just over 100,000 learners. But you can see here now, we have over 300,000 learners enrolled in our certificate program. So it's increased tremendously during this time of dislocated workers, but also as individuals are looking for skill-based training programs. We've quickly become the #1 most popular certificate on the Coursera platform. Our program reaches a higher percent of non-traditional learners in the US. 58% identify as Black, Latino, female, or veteran. 61% have less than a college degree. I mean, we have, at the end of the day, what is most important, really strong outcomes. 2.5 times the completion rate of comparable content on Coursera. So our learners are persisting through the certificate, even though it's challenging. 80% of our learners say that the program has helped them advance their career search or their job search within the first 6 months. And that has included, as you can imagine, a variety of different things, from getting a raise to finding a new job to starting a new business, as well as enhancing your own skills for your current role or improving your ability, of course, to get a new job. So we're going to stop here. We're going to watch this video from Daniel Anderson that will talk a little bit about his journey into IT support.
Nebraska. It's a beautiful state. It's not only a beautiful state, it's a beautiful state of mind. My fiance got her first teaching job here in Grand Island, Nebraska, and I made the choice to drop out of college and move to Grand Island. When I first got here, I found that I couldn't get work. Without a college degree, most people in this area are going to struggle. Eventually, I found a job at Central Community College as a night shift security officer. I felt like I was just fighting an uphill battle. Like I wouldn't be able to gain any traction in my career. I've worked with computers my entire life. That is what I love. I have a friend currently going through an IT program, and he said, hey, you should search for Google's IT support program. Just seeing that, I thought this is something that I can do. I probably would average 10 to 12 hours a week. I finished the program in 5 months. I was almost in tears when I got done with the course. Soon after that, I got an email for a job opening on Central Community College's IT team.
When we were viewing Daniel, what shined in his resume was his Google credentials he brought with him. It really did stand out against the majority of our other candidates.
I love my new job. I think one of the most validating things in the world is recognizing that you've helped someone. It's wild that I can claim that I'm doing what I love, but I also have more time to spend with the people I love.
Taking those customer service skills that have been really important within those sectors and applying it to the field of technology in these entry-level IT roles. What is important to understand, though, is that beyond the support certificate, we've really thought about a stackable pathway because we've already seen individuals that have completed our certificate program. And I'll give you an example of one of these individuals in just a moment. They've taken the certificate program, they've worked in IT support, and after 2 years, they come back and they've now completed perhaps the IT automation for Python professional certificate as well, and then gone back or stayed at their current company and got a promotion within their own IT department. One example that I'll mention, we have an individual, Edgar, who was hired by Google after taking the support professional certificate. He still works at Google after 4 years now. And he's actually moved to a senior engineer role after taking multiple certificate programs. So just multiple stories of that and building out the stackable pathway, which we feel is really important. And that's, of course, because IT isn't just a job, it's a career path. So like I said, in January, we launched the follow-on program called the Google Automation for Python Professional Certificate. That's one of our other certificates. It's a 6-course program. It provides beginner level Python training, now the most in-demand program language by employers. And then you may have heard the news, we're launching 3 new Google career certificates, all of which prepare people for entry-level jobs in high-paying, high-growth fields of user experience or UX design, project management, and data analytics, and do not require a 4-year college degree. And you can find more about those certificate programs if you just go to grow.google/certificates, and I have that URL up on the slide there. I hope you're eager to learn more about our certificate programs and perhaps get started on a certificate today. Thank you for having us, and I hope you all enjoyed learning about the Google Career Certificate.
Thanks, Christian. That was a great presentation. I really appreciate you guys participating in this event today. I hope folks go and check out grow.google/certificates. We did have one question from Paul. How do the Google certificates compare to other certifications available, such as the various A+ certificates from CompTIA? And I'm not sure whether or not he's asking about wages or time to complete, but I don't know if you've ever got that question, but
yeah, that is a great question. So one thing to keep in mind, our program is a certificate program, right? It's not a certification. So we have certificate programs, we have certifications. CompTIA A+ is a certification program. We've worked with CompTIA so that you are prepared after taking our certificate to sit for the CompTIA A+ exam. So we've also worked with them to provide a discount to the CompTIA exam. So you'll actually get a 20% discount when you're signing up to take that exam. We've also worked with CompTIA to create a dual badge from Google and CompTIA. So when you complete both the certificate, the Google certificate, and the CompTIA A+ certification, you'll have a dual badge from Google and CompTIA that you can put on your LinkedIn profile, on your resume. That would just make you even more attractive to employers. I do want to mention, though, that our certificate program, the foundational skills that you'll get are broader skills than you would get going through just a A+ certification. We actually have elements of Network Plus and Security Plus that actually are part of our certificate program. So one could argue that our certificate program prepares you for multiple CompTIA exams if you're interested in going that way. Paul, I hope that answers your question a little bit.
Perfect. I appreciate it, Christian. Thanks so much for that. And I actually had one question as we kind of wrap up here. Do you guys have a sense of kind of what the starting wage is for somebody that completes the Google certificate program?
Yeah, we see on average, I think the stat that I have is a national average, which is $55,000 a year. Of course, that varies by state and by locale. I think the range that we've seen is from $31,000 a year up to $75,000 to $80,000 a year. But so that national average is around $55,000. The other thing, Mike, that I didn't mention is we have been scanning using Burning Glass data to not only track that wage information, and we've seen that wage continue to increase even during the COVID crisis. But what we've also seen is an uptick in entry-level IT job roles, despite a downward trend with other openings across sectors. So we're still seeing this not a spike, if you will, but a gradual incline still with these entry-level. What the parameter that Burning Glass uses for this occupation is computer support specialist. So we're seeing that on an upward trend still.
Perfect. Well, cool. I appreciate that answer. That was awesome information. We're going to take another break now during our program and come back. We hope that you guys check out grow.google/certificates to learn more about the programs that Christian just described. We're going to take a break for the next 10 minutes, reconvene at 11:40, and have an informative chat with Rachel from Ohio Means Jobs to talk about where we can access the funds to be able to pay for some of these various training programs and the process involved in achieving that. So take a 10-minute break, and we'll see everybody back here at 11:40. Thanks. Welcome back, everybody, to Right Steps to an IT Career. We're very excited about the next presentation. It's from the fine team at Ohio Means Jobs, Cuyahoga County. We're super happy to have Rachel Benders here from the United Labor Agency, who works at Ohio Means Jobs, to walk everybody through the many options for accessing the funding streams that OMJ has available, as well as how to start that process, how long it takes, and what kind of information you need to have in order to be able to access that funding. Rachel, are you ready to go? Can't hear you yet, Rachel.
Oh no.
Oh,
Can you hear me now?
you.
Okay,
Yep,
of course as I'm doing a Charlie Brown. Oh no. Okay. Hi, good morning everyone. My name is Rachel Benders. I'm with the United Labor Agency, but we are the operator of Ohio Means Jobs, Cleveland, Cuyahoga. So today I'm gonna talk a little bit about how you can access funding to offset the cost of pursuing additional training. So Mike, I'm ready to move to the next slide. All right, so what is Ohio Means Jobs, Cleveland, Cuyahoga? We exist as a collaboration between the City of Cleveland workforce programs and the County of Cuyahoga workforce programs. So we do a multitude of things. We assist employers in finding talented candidates, helping them understand what the labor market looks like. And then we also assist job seekers to find their next position, to upskill, gain the skills they need, pursue a new credential, and then we serve as a matchmaker between the two. So if you come through Ohio Means Jobs, Cleveland, Cuyahoga to get funding, it's not just that you're getting funding, we can provide you that job search assistance, advocate for you to employers as well, and assist you finding a job as well, you know, in addition to whatever placement programming is available through your training provider. So moving on to the next slide, how does OMJCC get its funding? We are funded through the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act. We call it WIOA. But so what it does is it allows funding to be made available for people to pursue training in what's considered in-demand sectors. So in the Cleveland area, those are things such as IT, healthcare, manufacturing, transportation. And so then through this funding, people are able to gain the skills they need and go into positions that are growing fields, provide sustainable living wages. That's sort of the point of this. So we'll move on to the next slide. All right, so who's eligible? Very important question. So first off, you have to be over the age of 18. If you are a male born after 1959, you must be properly registered with the Selective Service. You must be a US citizen or eligible or authorized to work in the United States. And then, or there are income guidelines to meet or be a dislocated worker. So I see there was a question about those who have been laid off. If you've been laid off, we're able to calculate your eligibility as dislocated, so thus you are eligible for funding. So the next question is though, but what if I don't meet those income guidelines or I'm not a dislocated worker? Well, there are two grants in the building. I primarily work with the WIOA grant, but we also have a grant that's funded through the Cuyahoga County Education Assistance Program. It's a smaller grant, up to $5,000. There's no income eligibility requirement. So if you come through our intake and orientation process, we determine that you might not be eligible for WIOA funding, we refer you to the Cuyahoga County Education Assistance Program to work with them to secure funding. There's a link I've included here. So if you want to take a screenshot, but I understand that Mike is going to be sending out a list of links at the end of the presentation as well.
That is correct.
So, yep. So ready, moving on to the next slide. So the process, we get tons of questions. People call us, I'm going to training. How do I pay for it? How do I get started? So what we need you to do first is you would create or update your profile on Ohio. Oh, we can go to the next slide, Mike. You would create or update your profile on ohiomeansjobs.com and omjcc.us. Why the two sites? Great question. One is run by the state of Ohio, one is run by the county of Cuyahoga. The two do not communicate to each other, so we need you registered on both. You'll need to create a profile, upload your resume to both, and then you should locate your eligibility documentation, such as proof of date of birth. That could be a driver's license, that could be a birth certificate, that could be a DD-214 if you are a veteran of the US military. Proof of authorization to work in the United States, a social security card, a green card, your birth certificate. Proof of proper registration with the Selective Service. If you are a male born after 1959, you would have to register with the Selective Service. I know most people don't walk around knowing their registration number. That's just fine. We have a really easy system to look it up, so it's totally fine. If you don't even know how to go about getting that, we can find it. And then also proof of household income. So we confirm your income for the previous 6 months. So that'd be you and your spouse if you are married. If you are a dislocated worker, say you've been laid off recently, you're collecting unemployment, just get proof of that you are collecting unemployment. So your determination letter, copy of a payment verification, something like that. There is a link here, more information. Of course, I realized right before I came on here, that link goes to not exactly the right site. If you follow that link, you'll just need to click the job seeker tab at the top of the page. It takes you to omjcc.us, but to the employer page. So if you follow that link, click job seeker at the top of the page. All right, ready for the next slide. So next up is you've gotten registered, you've found all your documentation. What do you do next? You have to go through orientation and intake. There are 2 ways to register for orientation. You can either call at our 216-777-8200, or you can visit this link and register yourself for orientation. We run orientation once a day, and it occurs via Zoom. It takes about 45 minutes. We go over all the services we have. We also go over again how to register, what the websites are, and then after orientation, you're contacted by an intake specialist who then calls you, goes through the intake process, asks you some questions, determine if there are any other services you need, collects your eligibility documentation, and then they will assign you to a community development specialist or a training specialist. So what happens when you meet with your community development specialist or your training specialist? They both help you in the requesting of the funds. So they discuss your work history, your education history, your career goals, trying to determine, what you've done in the past, what skills you have, how they can improve, where you want to go with them, how this training makes sense for your career goals. They then work with you to develop what's called an individual plan for employment. Think of it as a roadmap, as a guide. The end goal is that you are working full-time in this new field. Or maybe you find a job that provides, you're already in the IT field, but getting this credential will move you up on there. So the goal is, how does this lead to your employment goal? And in the creation of that individual plan for employment, you talk about timelines, expectations, what needs to be turned in when, and how long this all takes, which on our next slide, get this question all the time. How long does this take? We can usually get this done in about 2 to 3 appointments. You have an appointment for your intake and eligibility, you have an appointment for your career planning, and then sometimes there might need to be a follow-up appointment prior to the request being submitted. So this typically can take 2 to 4 weeks. This is based on a variety of things: our staff availability, we have an internal review process, and then also documentation that you need to collect. We can't make an individual plan for employment with you if we haven't confirmed if you are indeed eligible for this funding. That's why it's so important that you know where all those documents I mentioned previously are. The sooner you can present your eligibility documentation, the sooner we can move through this funding request process. So just keep in mind, if you come to Ohio Means Jobs and you're looking for training funds and the program starts tomorrow, there is not much we can do, but if you come in a couple weeks ahead of time, we can usually get it done. So just to be aware that it does take a little bit of time. So Now you've talked about what you need, how to get started, how long it all takes, how much could you be approved for? So in IT, the maximum we can approve is 8,500. In manufacturing, it's 7,500, healthcare 7,500, and all other fields 6,000. I lost my train of thought. Right, this is a grant, so it goes paid. You do not have to pay it back. It goes directly to the school. You do not have to pay it back. However, you might look at that and go, but the program I want to do costs more than the maximum Ohio Means Jobs will pay out. To be aware, you are responsible for any difference that this grant does not cover. So that's why it's important for you to, if your program you're looking at accepts FAFSA, the free application for federal student aid, that you file your FAFSA so that you can find out if you're approved for any additional grants, federal grants, or any loans. And talk to your training provider, because sometimes they have scholarships that you might be eligible for as well. So the last slide I have is there anything else you need to know about this? These are some frequently asked questions we get. All the approved, any funding we approve goes directly to the training provider. So if you are approved, a contract's created, and then the training provider invoices Ohio Means Jobs, Cleveland, Cuyahoga, and they are paid directly. The only providers that we can fund are those who are approved WIOA training providers. So if it's a program that's not approved for our funding, the school would have to talk to Ohio Means Jobs, Cleveland, Cuyahoga to get approved, and that's a bit of a lengthy process. And then if you are not a resident of Cuyahoga County, make sure you talk to the Ohio Means Jobs in your home county first. With Cuyahoga County, we fund Cuyahoga County residents and residents from any county who are dislocated. So if you know you're like, nope, I'm not dislocated, I'm working currently, start in your home county. If you've recently been laid off, if you're collecting unemployment, you can come to Cuyahoga County and we can assist you in funding. I know some of this is kind of confusing, but I recommend get started, create your profile, schedule an orientation, and then as you're working one-on-one with someone, everyone's case is different, and as you work one-on-one through the process, it'll become clearer about everything. I know that's a lot of information, and I know I talk quickly. That's all I have. Are there any, here are the links again, phone numbers and links. Are there any questions at this time?
We don't have any. Oh, here's a question.
Oh, got one.
Would this be in place of what someone eligible for trade could get from them?
Trade has a different pot of money they pull from.
Trade Act. Sorry.
The trade is someone who's dislocated, but also everyone who is eligible for trade funding is also dislocated. But trade has a different pot of money that they pull from. But still, you can get engaged with Ohio Means Jobs, Cleveland, Cuyahoga. But there is a whole process to request funding from trade that I am not very familiar with.
Should they go that route to somebody that works with that trades?
Yes, if someone's been, I would say if they've gone through the orientation for trade and they've been assigned a case manager or whatever, is to work with that person.
Okay, and then go to OMJ after they've kind of touched base with them. Okay.
Yes.
Cool. Paul says thanks. Are there any other questions before we move on to our wrap up? There's no break after this. We're gonna jump right into it. If there are no questions, if you do have questions for any of the panelists, we still have them around. And so Anu, who kicked this off this morning, is going to offer a few final remarks about IT careers. We're going to have a slide up with contact information, so feel free to snap that with your phone. And also please enter in any other questions that you have for presenters into the questions box, because like I said, we still have them around, and we're happy to get those answered. So again, Rachel, thank you, and thank you for the work that OMJ does. I know a lot of the organizations that we had on here today are already working with you, so that's some great synergy there. Question from one of the attendees for you, Rachel, before we jump in to Anita's closing remarks, is should I apply for the funds since I am unemployed right now?
Okay, so I muted myself, then unmuted myself. Can you guys
Yep.
hear me? Okay, great.
Yep, you're good to go.
Yes, you should apply for the funds. I would say without, going into directly, your particular situation, I would say come and do the orientation, because there's another grant in the building that if you're not eligible for the WIOA grant, you might be, and you're a Cuyahoga resident, we can refer you to the Cuyahoga County Education Assistance Program. In order to be determined eligible for that program, you still need to go through our intake process. So yes, please, schedule an orientation. Please go through our intake process so we can determine which grant you are eligible for.
Great, thanks, Rachel. And like I said, keep those questions coming. We're gonna hop over to Anu right now for a few final remarks. And as you enter in those questions and as we wrap up these closing remarks, we'll try to get back to as many of those questions as we can before we wrap up the program. So Anu, it's over to you. Are you on?
Right. Thanks, Mike. Thank you so much. Again, just to wrap up everything you've heard today, from the introduction to all the different presentations that we had about options and training programs and how do you pay for a training in IT, there's never a better time to consider IT as a career option. The need for technology professionals will continue to grow even beyond when this pandemic is behind us. What we're beginning to see is more and more employers of IT are offering remote work. So that is going to expand the playing field as far as talent pools are concerned. And also from job seekers' perspective, it's going to give you more opportunities to apply to areas where those jobs are being posted. IT careers are obviously very lucrative. They pay above the median wage across various industries. They offer candidates the opportunity to move in any of the domains. If you get into IT through the software development route, and I was attending listening to one of the podcasts recently on LinkedIn, where one of my friends actually revealed that she started her career as a software developer and now is a CIO of a Fortune 200 company, an insurance company. And that was an amazingly inspiring story. So what it truly takes to be successful is the drive, the determination, and the passion. So if you have those, there is, plethora of opportunities and help. Any of the programs that you decide to enroll in, the training providers that we have in the region, they will assist you in every single manner and every step of the way. So you're never really lost or find yourselves to be alone. There are a ton of resources online. You're always working in teams. And you truly start by starting. So you take those first steps, getting those skills, and then building on those skills. So it's not like you're expected to know everything when you start the job or when you're starting the training, but this is a very gradual and incremental process where you're acquiring those skills one day at a time, and what you learn doesn't go waste. That's the beauty of IT. What you learn becomes the stepping stone, becomes the foundation on which you can keep building and you can keep exploring where you want to go with this. So the sky is the limit as far as this field goes. And all the things we've been saying today, hopefully they point you in that direction that these careers are definitely worth considering. Training does not take years, it takes just a few months. All the providers that spoke to you today have short-term training programs, immersive training programs that will definitely help you cement your prospects. So I hope this was a very useful and informative session for you. and you will have opportunity to ask questions and take those right next steps, working with each of these training providers that you decide to work with. College Now, Tech Elevator, Google, New Horizons, and then finally, Ohio Means Jobs, to see how you want to pay for that training and what kind of assistance you can get from the statewide system. Next slide, please. And that is a slide that you may want to take a screenshot of. If you have decided already during the course of this presentation that there is a certain provider that you're interested in learning more about, please feel free to connect with them directly. Go to their website, learn about all their offerings. And on behalf of the Greater Cleveland Partnership, I want to thank each and every one of you. Mike, thank you so much for coordinating this entire program. To all the training providers, we truly enjoyed listening to your presentations, and we hope our participants have gathered great fodder for thought, and will walk away feeling like they learned something, and they can come back and sign up for one of the programs, hopefully. So thank you so much.
Thanks, Anu, and thanks to on behalf of the Greater Cleveland Partnership and GCP's Tech Week. Like I said, I want to thank our entire group of speakers from RITE, College Now, Tech Elevator, New Horizons, Computer Learning Centers, Google, and Ohio Means Jobs for sharing so much great information and insight with us today. And thanks to you all for participating in today's program. I don't see any other questions in the question field, so I do recommend that you take the opportunity to take a screenshot of the slide that Anu has up right now with that contact information, and again, look for an email probably next week that will have the recording of this webinar as well as a document that kind of aggregates all of the links that you saw and web addresses and email addresses that you saw from the presenters today into kind of one handy place. And we hope that you can kind of start your pathway on a lucrative IT career as soon as possible. If you have any thoughts to share with us about how we can improve programs like this, you'll also see a feedback survey from us in the coming days, and we encourage you to fill out that information as well. We want to make these programs better for everybody, and so we can't do that without your feedback. With that, it looks like there are no more questions. Want again thank our presenters and thank all of our attendees. And that concludes today's session. Thank you all for participating.
Thank you so much.